Simba and Kovu had always been close brothers, watching out for each other in the vast African savanna. But their peaceful existence was about to be shattered by the appearance of the formidable purple-eyed Shere Khan, a ferocious tiger with glowing eyes that struck fear into the hearts of all who crossed his path. As Shere Khan focused his gaze on Simba, the lion felt a sense of dread wash over him. He knew that a battle was inevitable, and as Shere Khan launched himself at Simba, the two of them were suddenly enveloped by a swirling portal that whisked them away to a desolate landscape unlike anything they had ever seen before. As they emerged from the portal, Simba found himself face to face with Shere Khan once more. The tiger's claws left deep scratches on the lion's face, causing a strange purple glow to spread through his eyes. Simba had been corrupted by the claws of Shere Khan, and now he too possessed the glowing purple eyes that marked Shere Khan's power. The two wild cats began to fight with a ferocity that shook the very ground beneath them. Their glowing eyes were like beacons of destruction, unleashing waves of energy with each strike and blow. The landscape around them trembled as they clashed, their bodies moving with lightning speed as they exchanged blows and counterattacks. Their battle took them underwater, where they continued to exchange their devastating attacks. The ocean floor shook with the force of their blows, and the water churned with their fierce struggle. They seemed locked in an eternal dance of death, each one trying to gain the upper hand over the other. But their fight was far from over. As they emerged from the water, the two of them were carried by the currents to yet another desolate landscape, where they continued to battle with an intensity that seemed to know no bounds. It was a fight to the death, a battle of wills that would only end when one of them lay defeated at the hands of the other. The landscape around them was torn apart by their relentless onslaught, the ground shattered and broken by the force of their blows. Simba and Shere Khan fought with everything they had, using every ounce of strength and power within them to try and defeat their opponent. But as their glowing purple eyes began to flicker and fade, both Simba and Shere Khan knew that the battle was reaching its end. They stood, panting heavily from the exertion of the fight, their bodies covered in wounds and injuries from the brutal struggle. And then, as one, their eyes closed, and they fell to the ground, defeated and lifeless. The camera zoomed away from the two fallen warriors, showing their lifeless bodies lying side by side in the desolate landscape, a testament to the fierceness of their battle and the ultimate price they had paid for their rivalry. As the sun began to set on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the barren landscape, the spirits of Simba and Shere Khan rose up from their fallen forms. They looked at each other, no longer enemies but two souls bound together by the eternal dance of life and death. And as the spirits of the two wild cats faded into the fading light, a sense of peace and closure settled over the desolate landscape, as if the battle between Simba and Shere Khan had finally come to an end, leaving behind only memories of a fierce rivalry that had shaped their destinies forever. Words. Simba, annoyed, oh great, not again. Kovu, what's wrong, Simba? Simba, it's purple-eyed Shere Khan. He's trouble. Kovu, let's take him down together. Suddenly, purple-eyed Shere Khan appeared and launched himself at Simba, catching him off guard. The two of them tumbled into a mysterious portal that had appeared out of nowhere, vanishing as soon as they entered. As they landed on a desolate landscape, Simba noticed a scratch on his face from Shere Khan's claws. But something strange was happening. Simba felt a dark energy corrupting him from the scratch. Simba, growling, what have you done to me, Shere Khan? Shere Khan, smirking, just making you stronger, my dear Simba. With that, the two animals began to fight, their purple glowing eyes lighting up the desolate landscape as they exchanged blows with incredible speed and power. The ground shook with each of their attacks, and they seemed to be evenly matched in strength and ferocity. The battle raged on, taking them into rivers and oceans, where they continued to clash underwater with the same intensity as before. The water around them vibrated with the force of their blows, creating a spectacle of destruction beneath the surface. Eventually, the shockwaves from their eternal battle carried them to another desolate landscape, where they continued to fight without rest. They used anything they could find as weapons, from rocks to logs, as they tore the landscape apart with their fierce combat. The intensity of their struggle only seemed to grow as time passed, with both Simba and Shere Khan pushing themselves to their limits in an attempt to gain the upper hand. Their bodies glowed with a neon light as they unleashed their most powerful attacks on each other, causing the desolate landscape to crumble around them. After what seemed like an eternity, their glowing eyes suddenly dimmed, and both combatants paused to catch their breath. They stared at each other, both panting heavily from their injuries and exhaustion, before finally collapsing to the ground, unable to stand any longer. As they lay defeated and motionless, their eyes slowly closed, marking the end of their epic battle. The camera zoomed away from the lifeless bodies of Simba and Shere Khan, two once powerful animals who had fought to the bitter end. And so, the desolate landscape was left in silence, with only the echoes of their fierce combat remaining as a reminder of the thrilling and devastating battle that had taken place. Words. 410. Simba and Kovu, the African lion brothers, were standing together when suddenly, Simba spotted purple-eyed Shere Khan, the tiger. Simba's annoyance was evident as he muttered, oh great, not again. The tension between the two predators was palpable as purple-eyed Shere Khan locked eyes with Simba and swiftly launched himself towards the lion, catching him off guard and causing both of them to be sucked into a mysterious portal that appeared out of nowhere. As they emerged from the portal, they found themselves on separate desolate landscapes. Simba had scratches on his face from the encounter with Shere Khan, but what was more alarming was the corruption spreading through his body from the tiger's claws. His eyes began to glow purple, matching those of his opponent. The two fierce animals wasted no time in engaging in a brutal and relentless battle. Their purple eyes shone brightly as they exchanged powerful blows, claws slashing and teeth bared. The landscape around them quaked as shockwaves from their attacks reverberated through the air. The fight took them underwater, where they continued their intense battle, using their glowing eyes to heal and regenerate from each other's injuries. The ocean trembled as they clashed, their struggle growing more and more ferocious with each passing moment. Eventually, the force of their battle carried them to yet another desolate landscape, where they continued to fight with unrelenting fury. The ground beneath them shattered as they clashed, using whatever they could find as weapons against each other. Their bodies illuminated with purple neon trails, they pushed each other to their limits, each blow more devastating than the last. The landscape around them crumbled and fell apart as they fought with unmatched power and determination. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, their glowing eyes dimmed, and both Simba and Shere Khan stood panting and exhausted. They stared at each other, taking in the toll of their relentless battle. Their bodies vibrated from the strain, and they struggled to remain standing. As their eyes grew heavy with exhaustion, both predators collapsed to the ground, defeated and lifeless. The camera slowly zoomed away from the motionless bodies of Simba and Shere Khan, two powerful creatures who had fought to their last breath, never to rise again. The tale of their epic battle would be whispered through the ages, a story of two fierce rivals locked in an eternal struggle, their fate sealed in the desolate landscapes where they had met their final end. Simba, annoyed, oh great, not again. Kovu, what's wrong, Simba? Simba, look over there, purple-eyed Shere Khan. Kovu, that tiger again. Let's get out of here. Suddenly, purple-eyed Shere Khan launched himself at Simba, catching him off guard and throwing both of them into a mysterious portal that appeared out of nowhere. As they emerged on separate desolate landscapes, Simba noticed a scratch on his face that seemed to be corrupting him with a purple glow in his eyes, just like Shere Khan's. Simba, growling, you will pay for this, Shere Khan. The two wild cats engaged in an intense battle, using their glowing purple eyes to unleash powerful attacks on each other. The landscape shook with the force of their blows as they continuously scratched and injured each other, only to regenerate and continue the fight. They fell into rivers, oceans, and deep underwater, never ceasing their relentless battle. The shockwaves from their clashes reverberated across the desolate landscapes they found themselves in, tearing them apart with their destructive power. After what seemed like an eternity, their bodies glowing with neon trails from their injuries, Simba and Shere Khan continued to fight with all their might. Using logs, rocks, and oversized claw swipes, they pushed each other to the brink of exhaustion. As their glowing eyes finally turned off, both cats stood panting heavily, their bodies vibrating from the strain of the battle. Unable to stand any longer, they fell to the ground, their eyes closing as they succumbed to their injuries and exhaustion. The camera zoomed away from the defeated bodies of Simba and Shere Khan, lying lifeless on the desolate landscapes. The once mighty wildcats from Disney's animations were no more, their eternal battle finally coming to an end. The thrill of the battle, the intensity of the fight, and the creative use of their powers made the story a unique and captivating experience for those who witnessed the epic clash between Simba and Shere Khan. Words, 300.